Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the weather page. We've got a lot going on here, maybe trading in our pumpkin spice lattes for some swimsuits. Yeah, October looking very warm for many across the East Coast. I'm going to get into an outlook here for you. If you're new to the page, please consider giving it a follow. I give you early warning of severe weather, a reliable forecast you can count on. I've been broadcasting weather on 20 years for TV, and I give you a direct approach you won't find anywhere else. And in this case, we're talking about a wild October ahead and a warm one. Latest outlook here for the East Coast calls for above average temperatures stretching all the way down from Maine to Florida. We're talking about above average temperatures being favored as we go into the first few days of October here. Let's get to the second week of October, and we're still dealing with heat. Yes, I do see a cool front toward the end of next week. That'll bring down temperatures for a day or two, but these outlooks look at an average or as a whole. And as you look at days from October 5th through the 11th, overall, we look to be above average. That doesn't mean you're not going to get a day or two where it's mighty cool and you'll need a jacket. However, as a whole, I expect temperatures to be closer to 80 degrees versus the 60s and 70s like we should be. Let's go a little bit deeper here. Let's go to the third week of October. This gets us through October 20th here, and we're looking at above average temperatures for you folks in Maine, up through New England, and then farther south, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, above average temperatures. Again, this gets us closer to Halloween, where we're expecting it to start to be cooler. It does not look to be. It looks to be a warm time. What about rain? New drought outlook just came out today, and this is quite a dire situation here as you're smelling the wildfire smoke here in Louisiana. We've got a severe level 4 and 5 drought here for parts of Louisiana and Mississippi back through Texas. It's just been a hot, dry summer, and that's translating into a hot, dry fall. You need rain, and it looks like you're not going to get it, at least in the near term. Let's look at the precipitation outlook. This gets us through the next week into the first week of October. Parts of Texas starting to see some relief. Maybe not as dry in Louisiana, but there's a large part of the East Coast here that's going to be trapped under a heat dome. It's not quite the heat dome you would find in July and August, but it's a fall heat dome. You've got a big ridge just trapping us in. Dry weather looks to happen from Maine to the Carolinas, and that plays a major role in the way those leaves will begin to shape out. A dry summer and fall means extremely vibrant colors. It's going to be beautiful, but it also means you're very vulnerable to missing the leaf season because a cold front comes through and wipes out a lot of the leaves very quickly in these dry situations. They fly off the trees very easily. What about days 8 through 14 precipitation-wise? This gets us through October 11th. Looks to be very dry. You'll have more dry days than wet days. Now remember, these outlooks give you an average. Doesn't mean you won't get a big soaker here or there, but overall, those chances look to be very few and far between all the way through the second week of October. Let's get into the third week of October, where I do expect to have above average precipitation would be the corners. We got parts of Maine down through Boston. D.C. could have some extra rain. And then in Texas, finally looks like we may get some relief with above average precipitation there. We'll see better chances for rain in those locations. What are the models showing? Let's first look in the upper parts of the atmosphere. I like to start from the top down, and I look at what's called upper level heights. I look at the 500 millibar. How is the jet stream behaving, and what is it trying to show me here? And let's look at this latest model. It looks like as we go into next week, look at this big ridge. If this were July or August, we'd have triple-digit heat. But we're talking October, so it's going to be in the 80s, maybe even 90 degrees in some areas. Very, very warm. When does that change? Well, look at this big dip in the jet stream here. This is a telltale sign of storms, especially when you got warm weather here, cold weather diving in, and some upper level energy. I'd expect severe weather concerns toward the end of next week. This will be next Thursday, Friday, in the path of this. So parts of Louisiana up through Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and possibly the Carolinas could end next week, next Thursday, Friday, with some storms. Let's go deeper into the future here. This gets us into next Saturday. Looks like we do get a taste of some cooler air here. So like I mentioned, overall, October looks to be very warm, but this could bring in in much cooler air to the East Coast as far as that, but it could also bring in some storms for next Friday and Saturday. Let's take a closer look at the fall colors, because I know many of you like to go check out the colors this time of the year. Let's show you where we're at right now. This from the friendly folks over at explorefall.com. They do a comprehensive look at what's happening right now. Very easy to use tool. Not only do you get to see where the colors are starting to show up, which by the way, from Maine to Vermont, starting to see some beautiful color, even into North Carolina, where you go elevations above 4,000 feet near Asheville, starting to see the color. We're at peak in upper Wisconsin, Minnesota, UP of Michigan, and then you go back here toward the Rockies. It is just right now peak time, peak colors. Let's go into the future here, because as we go through 1 week, I think we're going to see some big time changes here. By the end of next week, look at how the color changes. Now you're starting to see many more yellow, which would be some low color, low to moderate color showing up around Asheville, stretching up the Appalachian Mountains. Snowshoes starting to see some big time color. Then you get up here toward Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, Maine. We're entering peak within the next week to 10 days. So very good time to check out the color there. We just need to see the temperatures actually feel like fall, right? But unfortunately, you may be leaf peeping in your t-shirts there. It's going to be nice though, folks. We'll keep you posted. October looks to be warm with some cool spells, and especially mapping out the end of next week, we could have a pronounced cool down come in. It would be short-lived, but it could be stout with some storms for many across the East Coast. I'll keep you posted, folks, and if you haven't already, please consider following my channel. Again, I give you early warnings of severe weather, a reliable forecast you can count on, and a direct approach you won't find anywhere else. I love what I do. I broadcast weather on television, and I've been doing it for 20 years. It's a passion of mine, so I love sharing that with you here on this channel. So thank you, folks. Hope you have a blessed day, and we'll talk soon.